Welcome to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I'm Easton. In this show, we explore the stories of relentless go-getters, uncovering the secrets behind their success. We talk life, work, and everything in between. The highs, the lows, and the grit it takes to keep pushing forward. Tune in and get inspired right here on the Hustler's Handbook podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Easton Johnson. Today's guest is the CEO of Midnight Tailor Clothing Line and a violence intervention prevention specialist at Harborview Medical Center, Tarrell Harrison Jr. Welcome to the show, Tarrell.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So can you just give our listeners a little bit about your background and what got you into fashion and intervention prevention specialist?
Okay. Well, again, my name is Tarrell Harrison. I'm the CEO of the Midnight Tailor Clothing Line. What interests me in fashion is that my dad was a tailor growing up. So my dad was a tailor by trade. My grandmother was a tailor by trade. I have an auntie who's I think she surpassed everybody in the family when it comes to tailoring. So I would have to say she's the GOAT in our family with fashion. But my dad, man, he was always that guy, 87 Eldorado Cadillac, everything met from head to toe, cowboy boots, cowboy hat, big belt buckle, The belt buckle was so big, man, we used to wear it around our waist and pretend that it was a WWF world champion belt. That's how big these belt buckles were. They were ignorant. And that was the first time I ever really seen that. But, my dad, we grew up in the era where, we had to wear baggy jeans and big white tees. See, our dad didn't let us go out the house like that. Everything was tailored. Our jeans were hemmed. Everything matched from head to toe. We had to learn how to iron, put the crease in the jeans, put a cuff in the jeans if that's what you wanted. Iron your t-shirt, before leaving the house, making sure you starch and iron and smelling fresh and looking good. And we didn't have a lot growing up. But our dad was really big on, what he installed in us. And one of the big things he installed in us was our appearance. And, I'm looking sharp, you know what I mean? And just, dressed to impress all the time, man. So, yeah, man, my dad, he was also a truck driver, a bass player. He played down the street from and played with Jimi Hendrix's cousin. They used to live right down the street from each other in the central area. And so he played bass, and he was a truck driver, car salesman, and then my dad had the tailoring business on the side after he got off work. So one of the things was he called it the Midnight Tailor. So every time he got off work, he'll get home. My mom would have something good for him to eat. And then after he eat, man, he'll tell us to go grab the sign. It was like a little triangular sign that you put in front of the house. The Midnight Tailor had all the information out there just for people who's driving by to come get their alterations, get the pants hemmed. Particularly, big and busy on Friday and Saturday nights because we lived right around the corner from, a little club or whatever the case may be. So, old players and whatever so-called pimps and gangsters used to come by and, get the pants altered right before they go out for the night, or a musician that's playing at the little tavern or something around the corner might come in, be like, man, I split my pants. Can you, sew up the pants real fast? So, yeah, that's kind of where it came from, man. And, not only that, man, I just kind of, carried the torch, man. I feel like, I'm not going to try to sound arrogant or anything like that, but for the most part, I feel like I'm a pretty fly guy, you know what I mean? I always kept myself up. Even when I played football, I always tried to make sure that my tape was the shiniest white, brightest white. My socks was always the brightest white. I didn't use a pair of socks twice. Once I got done playing the football game, I didn't wear them anymore. The only thing I reused probably was my cleats. And I had a lot of pair of those, so I had to interchange those too, but was my gloves. Because, it's tradition, you don't switch gloves, not in the middle of the season. Unless it just throws off the uniform. But, yeah, that's the kind of thing. My mom was also a hot stepper too, man. Like, my mom and dad used to go out and, they used to just look sharp, man. And that's how I kind of, raised my family too, man. My wife, she's sharp. My kids, they go out, they sharp. I would make sure that they got a haircut. If I have to line them up myself, I make sure that they get in there, iron the wrinkles out their clothes, and make sure that they take that last look in the mirror every day. But also, I also feel like the way you present into the world, man, it has a lot to do with your confidence. It has a lot to do with how you feel and how you approach what you're trying to do. I feel like sometimes, I'm so tired. And some days that I go out, when I walk out the door, I'm so tired that, I just be like, damn, I hope I don't look tired. I hope I don't look whatever. But I know, I know I'm flawed. So I know I got that going for me. So at least I'm looking fresh, even though I might feel drained. You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, that's just that's a big part of who I am, of how I dress and how I present myself to the world. But it also comes with, just the intangible, the confidence, that people can't see, the things that I tell myself, the self-affirmations and things like that. That's still a part of the wardrobe. Like that we don't, it's like going out of the house without shoestrings in your shoes. Like we don't go out of the house without giving ourselves a little pep talk or a little pump talk and, telling ourselves that we love each other and tell that we love ourselves and stuff like that. So I teach my kids that too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not arrogance. It's just the way that you can comprehend. That's the only way y'all can comprehend. Is just you think it's arrogance. But so for the most part, that's how the clothing line started. And I went to college. I went back to school maybe when I was early 30s, and I graduated. I think I graduated recently, like 2019.
Congratulations.
I got my bachelor's degree in applied sciences, which is social human services, pretty much. And I just remember just grinding all day, waking up, doing 2 jobs, being a father, trying to be a husband and, working with the youth and things like that. So like, I was just thinking how my dad was like, wow, my dad used to work, come home, go to another job or have a side hustle or some sort. I was just like, dang, I'm pretty much like the Midnight Tailor. Like, I'm really kind of embodying what my dad did. Like, you know what I mean? And that speaks volumes to who I am too, because it's just like, I take so much, from what my dad is and what he installed in me. It's like I'm almost a spitting image. I'm just kind of I wouldn't say reincarnated, but I'm just like a more rejuvenated version of him. He's old. He's 76. He's retired truck driver, whatever. But that's just how it came about. And I was just thinking about how I was grinding and how I was trying to put these plays together for myself and put these plays together for my family. And I just like, you know what, the Midnight Tailor, man. That's kind of what I'm doing. I said, man, that's a hard name. I said, Midnight Tailor, man, for the midnight, for the long hours that I'm grinding and tailoring for the, of how the work I'm putting in to tailor my life the way I want it to be for me and my family. So like, I was like, okay, whatever. That's what it is. So me and my little brother, we kind of just started, putting logos together or whatever the case may be. But, the biggest thing that really kind of came about the clothing line was like, what are we going to stand on? Or like, what's going to be the principle? So like, we came up with this kind of like, it's not like a mission statement, but it's just more just like, principle that we stand on. And it goes like, dedication is without option. No skills comes without preparation and sacrifice. The limits of the half-hearted wither beneath the steps of proven metal. Precision is key. The eye for detail only enhances the quality. A road that few find. But for those few who believe in going the extra mile, staying the extra hour, putting in the extra work, there you will find the Midnight Tailor. So that's kind of like our mission statement. So like, if you're willing to put more than what's asked of you, then you're a Midnight Tailor. Like, anybody that goes out here, wakes up and fights for what they try to accomplish. Like you mentioned, like you want to go to school. I know you're a father. You know what I mean? So, businessman. So now you're a new podcaster. Like, you are going to be juggling a lot. You know what I mean? And like, but you all also have a purpose in what you want to see through all this. And it's going to take some long nights. It's going to be a night where, baby don't want to go to sleep and he wants to stay up and stay on your lap and watch TV, and you're going to have to rock on to sleep. And then then get back to work. You know what I mean? And it's gonna be those long hours, and that's where the midnight come in. It's gonna be those long hours. And every day, and not only that, midnight means that's a start of a new day. You know what I mean? Like you're starting off fresh. Why wait till 8 in the morning to start the clock in when you can start at 12:01? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the kind of the gist of like where it came from for me and Midnight Tailor, man.
That's what's up, man. So it seems like early on your father instilled confidence in you. And so what has been the biggest challenge of maintaining that legacy and instilling it in your children, just moving forward?
The biggest challenge is, man, to me, man, I would honestly saying, you know, just not getting too wrapped up into like not just the legacy, but just kind of like the emotions of, you know, my story. You know what I mean? Like, yes, my dad taught me how to, you know, work hard and work for everything. My dad was up at 5 o'clock every morning. You know, he didn't walk back in the door until like 7 o'clock in the evening. You know, but one of the things that the other side of the spectrum is my mom. She was just incredible in ways of, you know, telling me that like I was good enough to be myself. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I had 8 siblings in the house, man. And we, you know, and I like geeky kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I like to write poetry, stories. I used to write, you know, do art and do a whole bunch of other things that sometimes my brothers didn't really, you know, adapt to and didn't really, you know, gravitate towards. So like, my mom was the type of mom was like, man, if you don't want to go outside and play football, bro, tell them. Like, you don't gotta sit here. You don't have to sit here and tell them, you know, a song and dance. Like, accept who you are and stand on it. You know what I mean? And be okay with who you are. And like that right there with the work ethic that my dad showed me and the confidence that my mom installed in me and those, you know, those major affirmations that she just made me like recite. Because not only that, but then it's like, I'm going to school in the 80s, man. I got teased for being dark skinned, man. Light skin thing was in back then, man. So like, you was, oh, you're dark and this, that, and the third. You're not pretty much attractive and this, that, and the third. And my mom, she's Creole from New Orleans, so she's light bright. You know what I mean? With 2 dark little babies. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just saying, man, like your skin tone's beautiful. You're beautiful. You're handsome. You're gorgeous. You know, and she said that so much, man. I think what you tell your kids, man, they'll believe you. So if you down on your kids, they gonna believe it. So if you install like, man, you're handsome, you're smart, you're intelligent, you know, you're hardworking, and this, that, and the third, man, they gonna believe it, and they gonna and when they believe it, they act upon it. At least for me, you know, that's what I've noticed. You know, they act upon it. So yeah, my mom definitely was the you know, I guess the vanguard of my life of who installed so much confidence in me, along with my auntie too. My auntie who kind of took the place of my mom, because my mom was kind of, you know, she struggled with substance abuse, you know, and you know, so there were some times that, you know, she might not have been there, you know, and my auntie, which was my dad's sister, man, like she, you know, we jokingly call her my, you know, my surrogate mother, but like she definitely installed some confidence, and my grandmother installed a lot of confidence in me as well. But I think sometimes I battle with just the emotions of like losing my mom, not having her, and wishing like, you know, I had turned things around a little bit faster so she could have been like witness to some of the hard work and some of these victories that I have. And like sometimes I get discouraged because she's not here, but for the most part, you know, I fight through it. But some days, like July 9th that just passed was her birthday, so like I'm kind of moody in July. I'm not gonna lie, July I'm not really here, and then it seems like it's like magic, because like as soon as July 1st hit, I'm like in this phone, and as soon as July 31st ends and August 1st pops up, I'm like I'm out of it, out of nowhere. But the good thing about coming out of the funk on August 1st, I have a son that's birthday is August 1st. So me being able to celebrate his birthday, coming out of that funk, celebrate his birthday is kind of like, you know, I felt like that's my mom's way of saying like, you know what, I know that this month's hard for you, so I'm gonna have something waiting for you when you get done getting out of this funk. And it's gonna be your baby boy. So, you know, that's what pretty much things I kind of get locked up into. when it comes to like my challenges, but it's also feeling like I got different challenges because I work with the youth. I have a business of my own, and you know, you hear about all the kids that are, dying of gun violence and things like that. So, you know, knowing that you can't save them all, knowing that you're not going to save the world in a day, know you're not going to change the world in a day. And only thing you can do is kind of set these building blocks that people can build on, and hopefully society can catch on and we can move forward. But, that's kind of the biggest challenges I deal with on the most of it. Everything else is like all logistics, and I just feel like those are just tasks you have to complete. So those type of things don't bother me. It's really more like the emotion behind it, not being able to save everybody, watching you going in and out of being incarcerated, going to these graveyards, getting injured or getting hurt or getting, suspended from school, just a plethora of things that the youth deal with. Those are my hardest challenges probably to deal with today.
And can you tell us a little bit more about your other career and working with the youth, and so on with that, in the background with
Yeah,
that?
you bet. Yeah, man, I started in 2008, man. My mom passed in 2005. My mom was always like a caregiver, man. Like we always man, our house was small, man, but my mom almost lived like the old lady in the boot with all the kids and the old fairy tales. Like she didn't care who it was. Like, oh, you're having a hard time, bring the kids over here, we'll take care of them, and let you go get your stuff together and come back and get them. And like we always had a pack full of kids in our house, and I think like working with youth just came like natural. Also, my dad's mom had a daycare, in the house. So when we was growing up, she also had create the early childhood development program at Seattle Central College. And so working with kids always kind of came natural. I always had kids around me. So it was just kind of natural just to kind of be that caregiver. Like my grandma taught me how to read really well, so I can teach the daycare kids how to read and go over their alphabets and their numbers and stuff with them and stuff like that. So like, after my mom passed in 2005, I really struggled with just my confidence. I struggled with, I'm not even going to front, keep it all the way funky. I struggle with substance abuse. I struggle with, suicide ideation, suicide attempts, and really just kind of like spiraled out of control. I got incarcerated for the most times I ever did in the first 365 days after my mom passed away. I probably went to jail more times in that year than I did my whole life. And I went to house arrest. And when I went to house arrest, I was for those 30 days, I just kind of was like, you know what, I'm not going out like this. I see my mom let drugs take my mom out. I seen drugs take my aunties, my uncles, older relatives, friends, my best friend, and I was like, you know what, this is not going down like that. What I mean? So basically, yeah, I just kind of just use that time to kind of like get back together and just kind of put myself back together and just kind of get back doing what I wanted to do. And I was kind of rapping at this time, and this guy had a studio, but it was a studio where the youth used to go in and record. But he said if I come in and volunteer, you know what I mean, I can get some of this studio time, you know what I mean? But, I was still, kind of still out there a little bit, but not too much. And when I started getting around the youth and donating my time to the youth, I just kept thinking like, dang man, like I'm telling these guys to do one thing, but what if they hit the corner and see me doing what the other? They're gonna look at me as a contradiction. So that right there just established so much accountability and realized the responsibility that I had being around other people's kids and the influence I have on them. And I already seen them because it was a substance abuse agency, and a lot of kids were in drug court. So if they, stay course of being compliant to the responsibilities and the stuff that the courts make them do and complete this program, then they wouldn't get the charge that they went to jail initially for. That'll be wiped out and they can have a clean start. But you have to go through this program where you have to be sober, you get UA, and so yeah, I'm going in there and I'm kind of donating my time. I'm trying to write these raps. I'm trying to come out with this album, and it just turned into somebody didn't show up and it was, can you speak to the youth for, for an hour? Come in here, share your story, show your experiences. Man, we just clicked, and then I just kind of kept that program going for a while. And then it was like, well, you want to help with the music program, so I became a facilitator for the program. And then it was like, well, shoot, you already got the relationship with the kids. Well, you want to make sure that they take their UAs every I'm like, all right, cool. So like, I'm just getting all these different little tasks. All of a sudden, it's just turning into a full-time job. And they're like, all right, well, we kind of need a case manager who's going to like write case notes and like document everything. I'm like, all right, man, I'll do that too. If that's what you want me to do. So like all this kind of came together. And then one thing after it led to another, just years went by, and I just got more experience. And, so I started in 2008, and then in 2010, out of nowhere, I won a 2010 Governor's Award for volunteering. So I won that award in 2010, and I don't even know who nominated me to this day.
Wow!
So I still got to owe somebody a
That's
thank you.
cool.
So I got announced in front of the Mariners game before the Mariners game, and got to walk on, the field and wave and be on the big chant or whatever. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's how it started with the youth. Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, man, that's just how it came in. And then after that, man, it just kind of went everywhere. And then it was just kind of like, all right, cool. We're going to put you into this middle school. You're going to help them with the substance abuse. You're going to make sure you're going to talk to the kids and you're going to take their UAs while they're at school, you know what I mean? In a private bathroom. So, other kids won't see what they're going through or whatever. Document it, go to different classrooms, the 7th grade science teachers, classes, and like talk about this thing called Project Alert, which is was a county-based project about drugs and substance abuse. So I would just go into their classes on the 7th grade science class and just kind of just go through the curriculum and just kind of put my own spin on it. And it was all about like, peer pressure, the deer on drugs, whatever the case may be. So yeah, man. So I did all that, man. And then, man, I looked up, man. I was like, then I got kind of tired of him telling me like, well, if you have a college degree, I would hire you as a manager. I would hire you as a supervisor. You just don't have a degree. So I was like, all right, cool. I don't got a degree. That's what you need me to go get. All right, bet. Went and got it. You know what I mean? And then like, throughout that course, I've been a program supervisor, project manager, and now, kind of leading into, me being a violence intervention specialist here at Harborview. And what that is that's a program based on supporting victims of gun violence. So anybody that's, victim of gun violence, and pretty much, because this is a level 1 trauma center, so pretty much anybody in this area, who's a victim comes through Harborview. So my friend, he was shot and he started volunteering and doing what we're doing now. And then they just backed it financially and was like, man, you know what? This is a need that we need in this hospital based off my friend's, volunteer services that he was giving out. So that turned into a position, man. And man, I found a job and I applied and, but the good thing about it, I get to use my expertise, youth work, because I usually tend to work with the youth that come in here. So anybody between like the age of 12 to 24, they usually, hand them off to me based off my experience with youth. So that's the good thing. But I think like holistically, when it comes to working with youth, I worked with kids that have been incarcerated, kids who've been victims of domestic violence, substance abuse, truancy in school, you name it. So like, I just felt like God put me in this position to kind of see it all wrapped around. Like now I get to see like, all right, this is worst case scenario. Like when you walk in these hospital rooms and you see a 15 or 14-year-old who's been shot 2 or 3 times, like, and you get to see that reality, and you get to really see their pain, and you get to hear those stories, and you got to comfort parents and families and things like that. Like it's making it all full circle of, the youth work that I've done. And, it helps me think about, okay, how do I, create some preventative measures within my community, within this world to kind of like make sure that like nobody else's kids go through this ever again. But unfortunately, like, it's a revolving door. They're in, one goes out, one goes in, and it's just, I'm just doing my best to, like, have them placed in community-based organizations that can help them with mentorship, help them with case management, wraparound services, any type of services that they need to kind of help with sustainability, self-sufficiency, so they can move forward. If that's what they choose. Some people go back to the mess. Some people get here like, oh man, they get that almost like that Tupac syndrome, man, to get up out here and get the spit and the hit 'em up song and get right back out there, and some people come in here and they really look at, like, dang, this could have been it. And that's where the true blessings come, because you can be able to really help kind of direct, redirect the life. You know what I mean? Like, all right, cool. You want to go back to get your GED and finish school. You want to be a plumber. You want to be an architect. Like, let's get you back into school. Let's get you in this area. You know what I mean? We also help with, like, relocation of family. Like if you, wherever you get, you're a victim of gunshot at, like, we have services and community-based organizations that help with, relocation and just, like, moving families out of certain locations and kind of starting over, So that's how I ended up in this position, started from, where I started at when it comes to the youth.
Okay. And so, like, a lot of the stuff you do, you're very community oriented. So what keeps you motivated? Because it seems like a lot of stuff you're doing, it's very stressful and challenging. So what keeps you motivated into, taking care of the young and the youth and, giving back in these professions that are very stressful?
I mean, just looking at my own kids and just like, what am I doing as a father? What am I doing as a community activist to try to restore, or not even really restore, because the system's always been correct, like, or reshape and make, reimagine, outcomes for, Black children, your children, my children, anybody that looks like us that are faced in this world, full of oppression and, that are forced to tap into strengths that, a lot of kids don't have to tap into. That a lot of kids may have the freedom to just be a kid. Like, I grew up, in a way that where my dad took the brunt of it, but I also had to deal with a lot of things with my mom struggling with suffering. That means with him having to work so much, that kind of left a lot of time for me to be by myself. You know what I mean? But yeah, and there's kids out there that, are just dealing with life on their own. You know what I mean? And yeah, I definitely do it for definitely just do it for the kids that are out there that are really struggling. I want to find a way to help them. I want to find a way to, reshape their thinking and reshape their outcomes and have them reimagine their outcomes of, what society has kind of like, predestined for them, and let them know that there is. And I don't really look at hope. I usually look at, like, what can I do to motivate? You know what I mean? Like, they're my motivation, and, and then I try to motivate them, you know what I mean? Based off the knowledge that I obtained through, years of college and years of just being a Black man that's dealt with similar things, you know what I mean? And not only that, I want my kids to revere me like I look at my dad. The way I'm proud of my dad, the way I love my dad, the way I speak highly of my father, I want my kids to grow up and like, Pops, man, no matter what happened, my dad was there. No matter, F's or buts, he didn't make no excuses. If we needed something, he provided, showered us with love. I kissed my kids 100,000 times on the face, on the forehead, before I leave and when I see him. So, like, that's my motivation, man. And I really, and honestly, like, motivation is kind of weird because motivation is almost similar to an emotion, man, because it comes and goes so, so fast. You know what I mean? But I feel like living in my purpose is more of it's kind of like my motivation, but it's not the motivation. I don't want to really say too much of a motivation because that comes and goes, but I'm just living in my purpose. You know what I mean? And I really feel like the work I do is not accidental. God does not put people around children that, can't, push the message forward. For the most part, it's a big responsibility. You know what I mean? And, I'm just feeling like I'm living in my purpose. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. This is God's work. And it's not easy walking in a hospital room, with somebody who's taking a few, gunshots. It's just not. Some of the things you're gonna see is it just can't mentally prepare for. There's just there's nothing you can be like, there's no playbook and be like, all right, cool, if they come out in the zone, you got to drop back and, see X,
There's
Y,
always
Z,
an
whatever
answer.
the case is. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no answer. There's no pillow softening that fall when you walk in. So that right there is just being able to go in there. That's pretty tough, but being able to go in there like that's like, I just know like I'm supposed to be here. That comfort, you know what I mean? Like, and and this is kind of weird to even say, but I don't try to approach like, people as like, oh, I'm like this, like I'm here to help correct you or scare you stupid. Like, I really try to be a voice of comfort and, and softness and, and like being courageous and helping them be courageous. Like, that's my thing. Like, I want them to understand that somebody understands, what they're going through. Somebody's going to be empathetic with them, sympathetic, but also help them, shape up the next move of what that looks like and help them see what that looks like so they can take those next steps to the next process of their life. You know what I mean? So, utilizing everything that, like, how my mom spoke to me, and just that candor and honesty and that gentleness. Like, I try to like tap into all those, all those feats. So yeah, I just think, I'm just living in my purpose. That's my motivation, man. Just fulfilling my purpose here on earth, man, until I go.
I truly commend you, man. Seriously, what you're doing is big for the community, and I mean, obviously, a lot of those people appreciate it, but the ones may not seem like they appreciate it. They do, man, and you're making a big change in the community, man. So that's beautiful. Out of all of the stuff you've been through and all the success you've had, what do you feel like has been your biggest accomplishment so far?
Ooh, I mean, my biggest accomplishment, honestly, man, is it doesn't really have anything to do with my work, man. I just I like being a dad. I love being a father, man. Like, that's the biggest challenge that I have. Those are the biggest rewards I have. Those are, some of the biggest scars that I have as well. Excuse me, but yeah, being a dad is like my biggest accomplishment. There's nothing better than being a father. Like, and there's no heavier responsibility. Like, I can do a clothing line, I can talk about fashion, but fashion comes in and out. Today we're wearing skinny jeans, tomorrow you're wearing baggy, today they're wearing whatever, and then that comes. But like, being a father, like, you change as your kids change, and as they grow up, you're just, you're kind of just evolving as a father as well. Like, dang, I really did work. So like when the next one comes up, I'm like, damn, when they was 13, I kind of was a little too hard on them. All right, so this time around, I'm gonna I'll soften up a little bit and just try to find another method to father in this situation, and when it arises again with the next sibling, and then try to use that knowledge of being better for the one that just passed that stage. So, yeah, man, just being a dad, man, and like, I just, when I think about my father, man, and just like how much of a superhero we used to think he was, man. I remember my dad, like, man, my dad was a trucker, so his arms were kind of stout, man. So like, I remember my dad just having us hang on his arm, and he's holding himself, and we're just dangling on his arms, and I just feeling like, dang, that's pops right there, man. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't get that. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't get get the experience being a father, man. And then for the people who kind of run out of those responsibilities of being a father, man, like, I feel more sad for them for what they missed in their children's life and that experience, because there's nothing like it. Knowing that my kids ate, knowing that my kids are sheltered, knowing that my kids were taken care of, knowing that my wife was taken care of. Like, I go to sleep and I can be cool, and I go to sleep and I wake up the richest man in the world based off that, just knowing that I provided, knowing that I protected, knowing that I led, my team to the next day, and like moving that forward on a day-to-day basis, and then seeing my kids grow up and like have those same qualities, so that they're not going to quit on their kids, and they're not going to quit when things get hard, and just remember, I just had a conversation with my son, he didn't want to play football no more, but he didn't want to play football because it was too hard. But today he calls me before football practice, and he's just like, I'm like, what's up? You know what I mean? And just like, I'm like, you ready to go out there and play? And I was like, what's up? And he's just like, nah, I just want to talk to you. You know what I mean? He didn't even want to talk about football. He just wanted to call and talk to me. You know what I mean? And I just like, even thinking about that and just like looking at that, and it's like, dang, he just, he ain't too cool to just call dad and just rap with me. You know what I mean? And like that was a big ass accomplishment today.
Yeah.
Just hearing him wanting to call. His mom, called, was just like, man, he just want to talk to you. Like, what's up? I just want to talk. And I'm just like, that's what's up. So we just kind of rap before football practice, trying to motivate them, make sure that, you're in top 3 in the laps. Like, whatever drill you do, you make sure you hit them at 110%. You know what I mean? Don't slack. Don't drag in the back. You only can lead, when you stand alone. So if you're standing down in the pack, you're just blending in. Nobody can, pick a diamond out of that. So yeah, that's my biggest accomplishment. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because it's like I work so much, bro. Like when you said hustlers, I was looking at it, I was like, that's such this hustler's handbook. Like, I hope somebody understands and listens to my story and understands like this dude has no quit in him. Like, there is no such thing as quitting. And the crazy part about it, like, I'm also a recreational leader, for the city of Seattle. You know what I mean? Like, I work here from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3:30. I get off. I go from work from 4 to 8 on a part-time job for the city as a recreation leader for youth at the community center. And I also, on Saturday mornings, I also do boot camp and personal training. So I do all that too. And then along with the clothing line and then the violence intervention gig. So I'm all over the place, man. And I don't really have a lot of time to play around at BS. You know what I mean? Like, I get to where I got to get to. Like today, if we weren't doing this, I would be at football practice. So I'll be with the kids, going home, having dinner with the kids. And most of the time, I'm getting off at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? My days. Sometimes there's days that, I wake up, my kids are sleeping, I come home and they're sleeping. And that's just the grind. And that's, and I signed up for that shit. You know what I mean? And I do not care what I have to do to make sure that these individuals in this house are taken care of. I don't care what I have to do. I will hustle. I will go to the core. You know what I mean? And like, definitely, like when I read the thing, and I also, we played semi-pro together a long time ago too, and you're cool. So, you know what I mean? So like, I was like, damn, Hustler's Handbook, man. I was like, man, I had to really go and see what that was about, man. But, I hope, people take that seriously. I hope it doesn't just look like it's a fad word. Being a hustler is something that like comes with like no negotiation. You know what I mean? When you're a father and you're about your family and you're really about your business, man, like there is no, talking yourself out of it. You wake up, you sign the contract, and you push that shit forward every single day. You know what I mean? Like, and that if I don't teach that to my kids, then I feel like, man, there's no point in me doing the work I do. You know what I mean? Because I'm just going to be stirring the pot of mess. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like if I'm not teaching them to go out there and work hard, then I'm going to go out here and feel entitled and not be groomed and, they're not going to be prepared. And I feel like that's what a lot of these youth are dealing with. They're going out into this world ill prepared, lack of confidence because they're not prepared. So it's like, well, I got to go make a shortcut happen because the long haul, the 4 years of college,
too much, a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. That, all right, going from freshman to senior in college, that's a lot of work. You know what I mean? Or starting at the bottom as like I did as a volunteer until now doing this type of work. You know what I mean? And being able to speak to what I do and speak to my experience is like, that's a lot of work. There was a lot of days where I wanted to just quit. There were days when I was just telling my son yesterday, I was like, you know how many days I laid in that bed at 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock, and when that alarm clock went out, man, and like, I didn't want to get up. You know, there was days and those tests were hard and quizzes was hard and those papers was hard. And I didn't want to just drop out of school. Maybe I'll just start over the next semester. Or maybe I'll go back later. And I'm like, nah, man, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to front, man. That caused a lot of rifts in my family because I didn't take breaks. And I told her, and I made that goal. I said, once I enroll, just know there is no break. There is no taking a semester off. There is no, I'll try again later. This is it, or I'm not going back for this shit. You know what I'm saying? Period, point blank. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I dropped out of plenty. I went to Wazoo, you know what I'm saying? And made the football team, redshirted in my freshman year, dropped out the next year. You know what I mean? Went to Eastern Arizona and JUCO, you know, dropped out. Went to all the community colleges, trying to start over. Dropped out until that one day, and just was like 2015. I walked in school and was like, when I go in, I'm not leaving without a degree. And if I drop out, which wasn't even an option, you know what I mean? I'm not coming back and doing this shit. But I really wanted a degree. I really wanted one of my mother's kids, and one of my father's kids, to be able to have a bachelor's degree. I wanted one of them at least. I don't know who was going to do it, but I know I wanted to be one of them. But, you know, that was the case. I wanted that. I wanted that for me. I wanted that for my family. I wanted to have that to be able to set a precedent for my kids of like, at least you can do is go get a bachelor's degree. I went and got a bachelor's, so that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, it's not GED, it's not high school dropout, it's a bachelor's degree. So you can get to that, all right, man, then you can build on that master's, PhD, whatever you want to take it after that. But I'm setting the bar. You know what I mean? By doing this. And a lot of shit that I do is based on, you know, setting the bar for my kids and making sure that, like, you always set that shit hard. Like, you know what I mean? We're not playing limbo. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to goddamn do high jump. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like
we'll
that.
play the other cats. For real, dog. We're not about to even be trying to bend it backwards, man, to try to fit in somewhere. We're going to try to, you know, leap in a single bound. But, yeah, man, that's just what it is, man. Like, you know, for real, dog. Like, that's just what it is, man. That's just who I am, man. I'm pushing this shit to the core, man, and I'm pushing all the cards to the table, man. I'm hustling too, whatever. And then the crazy part about it, like, you know, my family background, I grew up in a CD, you know, whatever the case may be, like, believe me, I hustle on a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? Until now, I'm really grinding on like positivity and you know, and with purpose. But it was a time where I didn't really have a purpose, but it was still a hustle. But it was just, you know, it just wasn't it wasn't positive, you know what I mean? But I come from that. Like my dad, you know, my dad didn't play, man. Just put the gas, man, and gritting the teeth, man, and it's going out here and bearing it and dealing with it and not quitting. And that's who I am, man. That's what my pedigree is.
I love it. I don't want to eat up all your time, and I appreciate you giving me the time because I know how busy you are. Excuse me. So basically, like with your fashion and stuff, what are you doing with that, or do you have any upcoming like projects or any like things that you have coming up that you can let our listeners know about?
Yeah, man, I'm coming. I have a T-shirt coming out. I haven't made a name for it yet, but it's a pretty cool design. It's gonna be an oversized tee. I'm also working on a book of affirmations for kids and for an adult. So I'm working on all three of those projects right now. Hopefully, I can get them all done roughly within the next 30 days. I've been writing for crazy, and sometimes I'm so picky with stuff. Like sometimes I just got to give it as it is, but I just want to make sure that it's perfect in my eyes. So I'm working with those three projects, and before the end of this year, hopefully, you know, I get that, you know, give me a 501c3. I want to really open up, you know, start a nonprofit called Model Gentlemen for me and for young men, and just kind of like using the tailoring aspect of like teaching them how to be groomed, teaching them how to study, how to read with purpose. You know, just kind of, it's almost like going to be like a gentleman's etiquette class, but it's going to be a little bit more focused around, a little bit more of this generation and just, I mean, I just think like we, as the kids, man, they kind of went away from just having the common respect. I remember growing up, like, shake somebody's hand, firm handshake, look into their eyes. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Adults come in. We don't cuss no more. We stop kind of acting up. We give people respect. Oh, hi, Mrs. Harrison.
Yeah, time and place. For
right.
Sure.
Come on, man. You hit the corner. You're turning into the Tasmanian devil. You get around somebody's mom. He's like, hi, Mrs. Harrison.
Exactly.
Whatever the case may be. Like, they don't even care about this. Come on, pull your pants up. All that, man. Like, you're not. If you're high, you just don't even come in the house with them. Like, you outside. My eyes is bloodshot. Or whatever the case may be. But they lost all that, man. Like the youth they don't respect. They don't have that no more. They don't have that that real term of gangster and the gentleman. Like they're doing that over here. But when you get around women and children, like women and children should feel safe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. And I'll teach my sons that too. Like you become a man, like you walk in the building, something happens, man, and whatever. Like a child and a woman should be able to look to you and be like, "What are we gonna do?" And you know exactly what to do, how to handle yourself. How to make sure that everybody, within your grasp is feeling safe. You know what I mean? That everybody feels comfortable around you, and not fear you. You know what I mean? Like you demand your respect, the way you come in and posture yourself, the way you speak, and how you show other people respect. I'm like, just because you're a man, like you still show 2-year-old respect. You still show 5-year-old respect. No matter what, even though you might be able to crush everybody physically in the room. But they still need to understand that, like, okay, I'm safe around you.
Yeah, most definitely.
And like that's what I want to work on. So I've been building that for a while. I've just been kind of taking my notes from all the nonprofit sectors that I've worked. Kind of took a little gym here and there, and just kind of helping like when it comes to like creating my like policy handbooks. Like even when it comes to like certain job descriptions, case managers or program coordinators and things like that. Like I've taken a lot from a little bit of everywhere from my experience, and that's going to be my biggest focus. Outside of a few more drops, I got a coat trying to come out that my auntie's helping me kind of stitch together, come up from scratch. Because usually I use like we use like blank T-shirts or whatever, and then I embroider it myself. And try to make those kind of designs. But now I'm trying to tap into like sketching out and having a tailor or having somebody who's a little bit more seasoned in that area kind of put that whole idea together and then kind of mass produce it and have like a major drop. But one of my biggest things is to continue to work in the community and drive that Midnight Tailor Clothing Line through advocacy. I've interviewed people, from different organizations to show their story and how, they embody, what the Midnight Tailor is. And then I have some of those stories on my website as well. So if you go and look on the website, it says the Tailor story. It has stories of a few individuals who are doing this amazing work in the community themselves. Just kind of highlighting that as well. So, definitely just working on clothing drop, book of affirmations, and making sure that I get this 501c3 for my nonprofit so I can kind of get that off the ground for next year. So that's going to be the goal by the end of December.
Man, busy. Two more questions.
Let's do it.
How are you able to unwind? You're going constantly. You got family, work to juggle. How are you able to unwind? How are you able to just like give yourself time?
I don't know. I always joke, a lot of people be having this little thing like where people like, and you watch these reels on social media, like the dad gets home and he just sits in the car for like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Before he walks to the house. But no, I'm not gonna say that. I do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna front. But most of the time, man, it's just like being involved with my kids, being like working out. I work out like crazy. Like I want to be in shape. Like I'm looking at like my oldest son's 10. Like I'm still thinking I'm 43, so I'm like, I gotta at least beat him in racing for at least at least another 3 or 4 years.
For real, right?
Yeah, I need to still be. I still need to outdo. I need to still do push-ups more than him.
Yeah.
For at least the next 2 or 3 years until he hits that 14, 15 mark, where it's just like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm that guy now. You know, whatever the case may be. So I work out, man. I'm heavily involved with just like my kids' life and just trying to make them better. That kind of makes me decompress a little bit as well. You know, my wife, she has her house cleaning business that she's, you know, starting this. So, you know, always trying to help her be innovative and working so much to be able to like hold shit down financially. Like you figure things out. You know, and then when you get back on, you know, you put in where you put in, you know what I'm saying? But most of the time it feels good as a man to be able to like, you know, take care of that shit. And me just like being able to take care of my family, like that's my decompressing. You know, me knowing that everything's taken care of is like, that's how I relax. You know what I mean? And with that, it's just, I don't really let too much shit get too high for me. You know what I mean? I set deadlines. I try to hit them. If I don't, you know, I just keep pushing forward, man. And I really don't try to let anything ruffle the feathers. You know what I mean? Like if it's not a dire need for the family or whatever the case may be, then, you know, I'm just, all right, cool. God didn't want it to be done at that time, even though I know I put the effort into it. So let me just keep moving forward. You know what I mean? And like, that's my decompression. Along with working out, though. I love working out. That's my shit. You know?
So where can our listeners find you? I mean, your story is amazing, and I think a lot of listeners will appreciate what you've told everybody, you know, and everything you've gone through and what you're doing for the community. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. So I appreciate that a lot. But where can the audience and listeners find you?
You can find me on my website, www.themidnighttailor.com. Instagram, Midnight Tailor _CEO, Facebook. It's not under, well, I do have a Midnight Tailor Clothing Line Facebook page, but you can also find me as Tarrell Harrison Jr. I got TikTok, Midnight Tailor 12, and what else do I have? I just have all platforms. I don't have a Snapchat, so all 3 of those social platforms, my ID, my email address, Tarrell Harrison at midnighttailor.com if you have questions or anything like that. For anybody that has anybody that's trying to figure out the clothing line or this, that, and the third, like, you can email me. You know, I give people advice. You know, I give people links and, you know, shortcuts or whatever the case may be to help them save money while they're starting the businesses. So if you have questions, you can always help. You can always hit me up via email. And that's where you can find me, man. Like I'm always posting. I'm always on there. I haven't started really going live yet on TikTok. I haven't really got to that point where I can go live and post that type of stuff. But I will post like my workout videos. You know, you can hit me up with dietary questions. You can hit me with clothing line questions. You can hit me up with if you need resources for you. You know, for anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Literally the definition of a hustler, man. I appreciate you being on this podcast, and man, like I think a lot of other people are gonna appreciate it too, man. You got a hell of a story and what you've gone through and what you're doing for the community and continue to do, and what you're doing for your children. It's very admirable, man. So I commend you a lot, and I love it, man. Seriously. So thank you again. Any other things you would like to add to the podcast before we end it?
Yeah, man, hustle harder, and then it's hustle harder. You know what I mean? And that's it.
For sure. Well, thank you again, and I'd love to have you on again because, man, I'm sure you got plenty of great things, man. You're doing great things, so appreciate it.
Appreciate it, yes, sir.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hustler's Handbook podcast. I hope you found today's episode as inspiring and insightful as I did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow hustlers. Keep pushing, keep striving, and remember, the hustle never stops. See you next time.